On July 24, 2025, the border between Thailand and Cambodia lit up with rocket fire and jet engines. Before we knew it, F-16s were in the sky. Civilians were running for their lives, and accusations of landmines, drone incursions and war crimes were flying in both directions. But this border conflict isn't just about Thailand or Cambodia. It's about China quietly expanding its reach, and the US trying not to lose its grip. Not just in Southeast Asia, but everywhere. Because this is how global powers operate in 2025. Not with boots on the ground or hot conflict, but through proxy and information wars that look local, but aren't. To understand what's really happening, we need to look beyond the border, and focus on how this conflict fits into China's larger play for power across the globe, and what it means for the rest of us. Welcome to Obscura. The current conflict began on July 23rd, when 5 Thai soldiers were injured by landmines near the Prasat Thar Muan Thom temple. The response came quickly. Thailand expelled Cambodia's ambassador, shut down border crossings, and recalled its own envoy.
And Thailand has decided to degrade its diplomatic ties with neighboring nation of Cambodia.
This after a Thai soldier lost a leg in a landmine blast on its border with Cambodia. Acting Thai Prime Minister Phumtham Vishayachai accused Cambodia of laying new landmines in the disputed area, which was the scene of the deadly military clashes in May. Thailand government expelled the Cambodian ambassador, also moved to recall its ambassador to Phnom Penh.
By the next morning, Cambodian rocket attacks struck Thai territory, killing civilians. Thailand responded with F-16 airstrikes, targeting Cambodian military positions. By July 25th, at least 32 people were dead. More than 150,000 civilians had been displaced. Martial law was declared in multiple Thai provinces. Beyond the immediate fighting, this conflict highlights how China manages its position during regional instability. Analysts describe Beijing's approach as calculated. China has avoided taking sides publicly, offering mediation while carefully protecting its strategic interests. This balancing act allows China to expand its influence while appearing neutral. It tests how far its partnerships can stretch under pressure, and how much regional control it can exert without confrontation. In this way, the conflict becomes less about who fired first, and more about how China benefits from the fallout. To understand how that works, and why it fits into Beijing's larger ambitions, we need to examine the broader strategy behind its regional influence campaigns. China does not deploy tanks to win influence. It builds a network of dependency and alignment. It begins with Cambodia, Beijing's anchor in Southeast Asia. Over the past decade, China has pumped billions into Cambodian infrastructure, education, and diplomacy. Today, roughly 1/3, or over 40% of Cambodia's external debt originates from Chinese loans. Phnom Penh hosts China's largest Golden Dragon military exercises. In recent months, armored drones and robot dog units trained alongside the PLA. Ream Naval Base, refurbished under Chinese contracts, now accommodates larger vessels. US defense analysts warn it could serve as a maritime logistics node for China. This deep entanglement gives Beijing leverage. Cambodia echoes Chinese positions in ASEAN and at the UN, including vetoing criticism of Beijing's behavior in the South China Sea. When conflict erupted with Thailand, China appeared as a broker. Neutral on the surface, but Cambodia, its closest ally, is on the front lines. At the same time, China maintains economic and diplomatic ties with Thailand, investing in rail, trade, and arms discussions.
And China's president has called for deeper trust and cooperation with Thailand as he met Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra in Beijing. Xi Jinping says stable cooperation is needed to deal with growing uncertainties in the world. Ms. Paetongtarn is on her first official visit to the Chinese capital since taking office in August. On that trip also marking 50 years of bilateral ties.
That balance lets Beijing shift toward whichever side offers more leverage, without publicly aligning militarily. Now, with ceasefire talks set to take place in Malaysia, the military phase may pause. But for China, the strategic window is still wide open. This conflict gave Beijing something rare: a real-time opportunity to observe, respond, and calibrate, all while keeping its hands clean. It revealed where US diplomacy still holds sway, and where it hesitates. It showed how regional alliances respond when their interests diverge. And it clarified just how far a client state like Cambodia will go when Beijing stays silent. These aren't hypotheticals. They are data points, logged, studied, and ready to be reproposed elsewhere. Because for Beijing, every regional crisis is also a live rehearsal. A chance to refine its playbook before looking to take on higher-stake theaters like the South China Sea or Taiwan. The ceasefire may have paused the rockets, but for China, the real payoff comes in the aftermath. And this conflict gave Beijing everything it needed and nothing it didn't want. Cambodia's external debt surged to approximately $11.9 billion by early 2025, with over one-third of that owed to China, roughly $4 billion in outstanding loans tied directly to infrastructure projects like highways, ports, power dams, and public buildings. That makes Beijing both lender and de facto guarantor, a position no multilateral institution can match. Cambodia finds itself exposed, border towns destroyed, civilians displaced, governance under pressure, and now requiring capital, diplomatic reassurance, and stabilization. And China is already first in line with offers of reconstruction aid, access to new credit lines, and political backing. China never deployed military assets. Instead, it offered moral support as a mediator while staying invisible. Cambodia took action. Its army carried out artillery strikes, infantry advances, and aerial bombardments over 2 days. Reports estimate at least dozens of civilian casualties, allegations of cluster munitions use, and over 200,000 people displaced across both sides of the border, allowing a client state to escalate while China keeps diplomatic distance. That outcome, a quiet transfer of leverage, is precisely what Beijing is refining: escalate through aligned partners, unsettle via proxy action, then step in with reconstruction as a soft power tool. The US remains dominant in open conflict and high-end military readiness, but China excels in the grey spaces: debt leverage, diplomatic narrative, infrastructure grip, proxy escalation. In these spaces, America's institutions are slow, measured, and often reactive. China is fast, flexible, and often pre-embedded. The broader significance: the Indo-Pacific strategic terrain is shifting. Power projection is no longer defined solely by aircraft carriers or force posture. It's defined by who frames the recovery, who finances first, who aligns second, and who controls outcomes third. Cambodia revealed how China can shift regional gravity, not through domination, but through dependency and presentation of self as indispensable. That is the modern definition of influence. This wasn't a war between two nations. It was a demonstration of how influence works in 2025. Thailand and Cambodia were on the front lines, but the real power wasn't coming from the border. It was coming from the systems behind them. The conflict wasn't just about what happened. It was about who was already positioned to benefit before it began. Modern power doesn't need to invade. It just needs to be in place before anyone's paying attention. By the time the crisis ends, the leverage is already set. The influence is already built. And the outcome was never really in question. If you like this kind of geopolitical analysis videos, make sure to like and subscribe for more.